the fallout from yesterday's ruling by a federal judge who declared the healthcare overhaul law unconstitutional. 26 states took part in that lawsuit. One of those states is Texas. Its Attorney General Greg Abbott joins me now from Austin. Mr. Attorney General, welcome to Bloomberg's Bottom Line. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Mr. Attorney General, why did you file suit?
We filed suit for the very reason that was articulated by the judge at the opening of his opinion, which, very importantly for your audience, is inconsistent with what your prior commentator was talking about. This lawsuit is really not so much a challenge about health care or the health care reforms, but instead is a challenge to congressional authority. What the judge made clear in his opinion is that his opinion goes to the heart of Congress exercising authority which it does not have. Importantly, Congress has never passed a law that has attempted to regulate inactivity. Importantly, the judge recognized that neither Congress nor the courts have ever passed on any law that has forced Americans into the stream of commerce and making them buy a product like the health insurance that Congress is making Americans buy here.
So
the judge was completely correct.
Yeah. But I guess your argument then is that Congress had no authority whatsoever to do this?
The judge agreed, as with the federal judge in Virginia, that never before has Congress ordered Americans into the stream of commerce and making them buy a product such as health insurance. There is no court anywhere in the land that has ever upheld such an overreach by the federal government, and as a result, the federal judge in this case was exactly right by saying that Congress violated its powers by extending the Commerce Clause beyond the outer bounds of where it had ever written before.
Mr. Attorney General, a lot has been made of this argument of whether or not Congress had the authority to do this, and a lot has also been made of the 30 million people who would get health care because of this law. How do you strike a balance?
Sure. Well, personally, I agree with, I think, most Americans, and that is that this country and our state, we as a people must do a better job of providing access to health care for all Americans. And Congress knew that it had the authority and the ability to provide better access to health care. But the truth is, no matter how noble the cause may be, Congress cannot trample the Constitution in trying to achieve that goal. If you look back at the early drafts of this health care reform law, Congress initially had in there a tax and spend clause. They eliminated the tax and spend clause because they knew that it would be contrary to what Barack Obama promised in saying there would be no tax hikes on Americans who make less than $250,000. And Congress knew there's no way they could get reelected if they imposed this tax expenditure on Americans, and as a result, they eliminated the tax provision and imposed the individual mandate, and in doing so, they violated the Constitution.
And Mr. Attorney General, the White House advisor Stephanie Cutter wrote an email yesterday, an internet posting, and she said the judge's decision contradicts decades of Supreme Court precedent that support the considered judgment of the democratically elected branches of government.
Well, that person nor anybody else in this country can point to a single United States Supreme Court case that has ever even considered the issue about whether or not Congress can force Americans into the stream of commerce by forcing them to buy a product. Congress has never done that before, so that spokesperson is wrong when she says the Supreme Court has considered this. They've never done so, and if the Supreme Court upholds the constitutionality of this Obamacare law, the Supreme Court will be making new law.
Do you believe that on appeal this will probably go to the Supreme Court? Do you believe that the High Court is going to uphold these two rulings?
Well, I do believe it will go to the U.S. Supreme Court. This is a matter of immense national significance. You know, in our case alone, we have 26 states. In addition to our case, there's Oklahoma and Virginia, which filed their own lawsuits. So well over half of the states in this country are challenging the constitutionality of this issue. So the United States Supreme Court needs to decide this. I was a high court judge myself on the Texas Supreme Court. I'll be the first to tell you anyone's making a mistake if they try to venture a guess of what the court will decide. We'll make our arguments, and hopefully the court will agree that this law is unconstitutional.
You say that the health care law is unconstitutional. You believe that the U.S. Supreme Court will view it that way and will uphold the rulings of a couple of federal court judges. One of the analogies that I've been hearing over the past couple of days relates to car insurance. Everyone has to get car insurance or you face a penalty. That's just the law. Where's the argument again on your side concerning health care reform, that mandated clause that if you don't get health care reform, you have to pay a penalty? Am I making a fair analogy, or is that too much of a gray area?
Well, it's not a gray area, but it's also not a fair analogy. Two quick points about it, and that is, you used the phrase that everyone is required to get car insurance, and that, of course, is factually incorrect, because the government doesn't order everyone in the country to get car insurance. Only those who purposefully engage in the activity of driving are required to get auto insurance. In this case, the issue is about those who purposefully choose not to get insurance or not to get involved in the healthcare process. But even stronger than that is the fact that the analogy about auto insurance has not been raised by the United States Department of Justice in their briefing, because they themselves understand that the analogy is inapplicable. And so it simply does not apply here.
All right. The Attorney General of the state of Texas, Greg Abbott, joining us live from Austin. Mr. Attorney General, we thank you for your time. We hope we can call on you again soon. Thank you.
Anytime. Thank you.